Welcome to Do It for the Wellness of Your Life. Today, in our episode, we're going to have Nancy Mattos, holistic therapist. How are you, Nancy?
Hello, Anto. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for coming back here again. It's amazing to have you again. We have a lot of questions since last episode. Last episode, we talked about emotions. It was really, really good program. If you haven't watched that program, just go back. It is the episode before this one. But today, we're going to the next level. Okay, because as you say, there was 4 levels of them. We're gonna try to cover all of them, but we're gonna do our best. Isn't it, Nancy?
Yes, that's right. And it's a really broad topic. And this is what I always say is a journey. So let's not put the pressure to understand everything right now. Whatever resonates with people that are listening, that's perfect. And if they want to explore more, they can, there's so much at the moment, so much information, so many people supporting this shift that they can actually find more information.
More information and actually heal a little bit themselves.
That's right.
We're going to talk about health, mental health, and spiritual health. Mental and spiritual health. How can we improve our well-being through this connection, through the mental and spiritual health?
So in regards to mental health or well-being, I'm not going to talk about any mental illness or anything like that. I'm just going to refer to our thoughts, really, and just to support people becoming more aware of their thought pattern. What type of thoughts do they have? I don't know whether people listening know Joe Dispenza, but Joe Dispenza is someone amazing that works from United States. And he's a neuroscience, and he discovered that we have 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day.
Oops.
Yeah, a day. So some of the thoughts that we have are automatic, like I can move my hand because my brain is telling, So there's that automatic survival thoughts, but there's also thoughts. So there's other thoughts that what am I going to do after I finish here? Yeah. But there's also other thoughts, and those are the thoughts that we need to pay attention to, that are the thoughts that are past thoughts or future thoughts. So I'm thinking regularly, constantly about what, let's say, my neighbor did and how terrible my neighbor is, and I'm keep repeating that scenario in my head, or I'm thinking about the future, whether I'm going to, I don't know, not have money, or whether I'm going to have an illness, or so there's thoughts that can maintain us in the past and in the future. And this is the thoughts that we need to become aware of. So thoughts that maintain us in the past create a lot of depression, like, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of heaviness, yeah? Thoughts that we think about the future bring a lot of anxiety and fear. So, and usually, like I was saying, 60,000 to 70,000, which is a lot, are usually a lot of, those thoughts are the thoughts that I thought yesterday, last week, last year, 3 years, 20 years ago. So these thoughts keep, repetitive thoughts constantly, thinking about the same thing constantly. So we waste a lot of our vital energy in just thinking things that are not useful. And this is what we need to become aware of.
Wow. So when we go into our thoughts, that is actually connected to our mind and affect our spirit, our well-being. How can we control those thoughts? Those thoughts that they're coming and they are affecting our life.
Once again, it's not about controlling, but becoming aware.
Becoming aware.
One of the things, and this is really, all the things that we are talking about here between you and me, this is not about this is the way it is. People, and this is the invitation, people need to be curious and start observing themselves. How does my mind work? How do my thoughts work? Yeah. So one of the things that I've been working with myself and supporting others with is that I'm realizing that sometimes thoughts come into my awareness. So let's say a scary thought comes, oh, my daughters are going to get sick or anything like that. It comes into my awareness. So where my power is not to connect to that thought. So if the thought comes to my awareness, oh, my daughters are gonna get sick, and then I go into, I plug into that thought and I go, yeah, they're going to get sick. And oh my God, what am I going to do? And what's going to happen? And I go into that. I can spend hours on end thinking about that. Yeah. So the beginning for us to start to become aware is first, notice the type of thoughts that I regularly have. And then notice if those thoughts just come to me. And what do I do when thoughts come to me? Do I just listen and not get caught? Or do I engage into this dynamic with thoughts? So it's just, as I said, it's just self-awareness and becoming curious.
Becoming curious about those thoughts that, as I said, it could affect everything. Because if you are connected to a bad thought, not only, I think, you connected to the bad energy as well.
Yes, and like if I tell you to think of something sad, you're gonna think of something tragic, a situation that was tragic in your life. Then you're gonna think of that situation. Straight away, you're gonna feel the sadness, and then the sadness sadness is an emotion that keeps you really down. When we are sad, we don't want to do much. When we're sad, the whole body is just in pause. Yeah. So depending on what we think is the emotions that come with and our behavior. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. After you feel the emotion, you have the emotion, and that emotion will conduct you to our behavior.
Yeah.
I think there is one question because there's a lot of therapies that we actually use, like I'm personally use, and sometimes I found that it's very helpful, and sometimes I don't find it very helpful. Like when someone is have like a trauma or something in the past, and you bring that trauma back in a moment, okay, in a therapy or something. Yeah. All right, and that person express that emotion there, okay? It could express the sadness, the anger, and that. And there's a relief, okay, after they express that emotion. But it's always something that brings them back, okay? How can someone, or can you just give us a guide of how can someone can control that emotion to don't come back and to don't affect the person's life?
So once again, this is with awareness. So for example, if we were doing a session and you go back to a childhood experience that was traumatic, what we will do is you will get to the emotion that you didn't express. What happens with trauma is that the emotions got stuck. Like I couldn't express the fear that I felt in that situation or the sadness that I felt. So that gets stuck in my system. Once I go back to that experience and I experience the emotion, it has to then there's a release of emotion. Yeah, there's a release of emotion. So you're becoming aware and you expressed it. Now the real change occurs when you actually change when you do the practice of change. If you've had that session and you expressed, and then you leave the session and you go back into, oh, my life was terrible, and that experience was really hard, and then you get into it again, you haven't changed. Okay. So you need to become aware of your thoughts and your emotions. So the moment that you're going to go into that pattern, because the body's used to it, you become aware and you go, no, I'm going to do something different. And that's how we create change. Because what we're doing with that is creating change in our brain. So the moment you express an emotion, there's a neural connection that gets disconnected in our brain. Yeah. If you go back to the same thing and feel in the same way, the connection goes back into the same thing. But if you start practicing something different, another neural connection is formed, and you got a new personality. So that's why we can actually change our personality if we change our behavior and the way we think.
Yeah, there is.
So there's a lot of power that we have.
It's a lot of power, but I think there is a lot of misunderstood as well about that kind of power. But it's also, I think we have to understand that when that emotion is really, really strong, it will take a while. Could take a while. Like if you lost someone,
of course,
that will stay there forever, I think. In a certain way, you're going back. or
But
when
that's
a
the thing,
relationship
yeah.
is finished.
That's right.
You have people like they finished like 3 years, 5 years ago, and they're still thinking about the same person and still getting sad about it. So,
Yeah.
what can we say to these people? What can actually help them to control that kind of emotion? I know for someone that have lost someone, like if someone is really, really close, someone who have lost a child, someone who have lost the parents recently, it's very hard to get into that emotion. But expressing the emotion in that moment will help when you feel it. So like, for example, you lost someone 2 years ago and the emotion come back. It's okay to express that emotion, or we should be working on that emotion and come back to another emotion and change and switch our energy on that.
I mean, emotions are there for a reason, and it's okay. Like, it's okay if you lost, like I lost my mom left this plane 6 years ago. And then throughout the time, there was emotions that will come, and I will feel it, and then they will move. What we need to become aware is of our thoughts. If I go, oh my God, when we used to sit with my mom and we used to talk with my mom and used to go, then I'm caught and locked into an emotion. Okay, so that's not. This is a change that we need to start making. So grief has a period. Yeah, if you lose a child, if you lose your parent, has a period. So you need to allow the body to heal. Yeah, but if you maintain it over that period, you could be maintaining it with your thoughts, and this is what we need to become aware. So emotions are expressed through the body. So if you feel the sadness, you express it. But if you connect the thought with the sadness, that's not expressing. That's maintaining yourself in that loop of sadness. You have a sad thought, you have a sad emotion, and you could be for decades like that.
Yeah, yes, I see a lot of
And
people
we all
in a
know
long
people.
time.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah. So if they are in that loop, as you say, they're going back to that thing on the head, and it's going back to that bad emotion. I know there is a lot of things that they could do, but in your experience as a therapist, which one is the one that helped more?
I mean, helping more will be, okay, I need to make a shift. I want to heal. And this is the desire of the person. This is not about therapies, really. It's how much you want to change. How much do you really want to heal? Because you can have the best therapist, but if you don't want to change, that therapy is not going to work. So the desire to, okay, I've been grieving, let's say, 5 years. Is that enough for you, or do you need to keep grieving? So this is the questions that we need to, because one of the things that I want to make sure that people understand too is whatever we don't heal, we pass it on to the other generations. Yeah. So, for example, my mother had her brother's suicide when she was 26 years old. Yeah. I didn't even know my uncle, but I received the suffering. So there was a lot of sadness and fear and stuff that because I didn't even understand that it wasn't even mine, you know what I mean? So we pass through our genes information that hasn't been resolved. So those blocks of grief that they haven't been expressed, they're going to get passed on to the next generation and the next generation until someone says, enough, I'm going to learn. So it depends on the person, you know what I mean? But I think energetically in the planet at the moment, we're in a fantastic moment that we can shift stuff quickly if we want to. If we don't want to, we can, and that's fine. That's fine. If people are happy feeling the way they're feeling, that's fine. If they want to make a change, it is possible.
Well, as you know, if you want to make the change, it is possible. Thank you so much, Nancy, for being with us one more time. Remember, Awakening the Senses, the program. You can find it on YouTube. The link is below this segment. And also you can find Nancy Mattos in Alumbra for Radio Punto Latino, for people that speak Spanish. Okay? We'll see you on the next week. See you next time.
See you next week. Thank you.